we talked about bias, and we talked about our biases and how we need to have a better self-referential process to understand whether, if we believe something, why do we believe it? Do we believe it because we did our due diligence? Do we believe it because there's an actual logical train of thought? Or do we believe it because of a trusted source and or the fact that we, and I mentioned this before, I believe that a lot of people, they're not actually looking for truth. They're really not looking for, like, I want you to rip away all the ego and rip away all the illusion. I want to see reality for what it really is. Most people, deep down, they may say that on the surface, but deep down, they really just want to feel comfortable. They want to feel accepted, loved, and safe. For the most part, safe, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So I would really love for you to take us into what you believe about our own personal biases that we have that affect our way of coming to a logical, cohesive train of thought about anything that we hear on the news.
Yeah. Gosh, you said a lot there that is all worthy of consideration. And I'm going to answer that question, but this is a very key point about that. Forget about all of the math and stuff. Here's the thing: is when some people look at that building fall, they'll say, "Oh yeah, well, it could have happened that way," and other people look at it and say, "No way could it happen the way you just told me," and it has nothing, honestly, very little, to do with. Did you go to, are you a structural engineer? Do you know anything about metallurgy? It has nothing to do with it. I've talked to engineers, people that I went to MIT. I have friends from there, and they say, oh, what are you talking about? So why is it that some people agree with it and some people don't? Why do some people have cognitive dissonance and some people just accept it, right? And that is the reason why I wrote the book. So that's the answer to the question, is like, oh my God, what's behind all of this? Where are we getting lost in the way we are perceiving reality? So forgive me if I derailed your train of thought, but that I think is a very important point. And so I believe you said, why do we, what do we want to know? Do we want to believe things, know things, Maslow and like the need for safety? There's a real big difference between knowing and believing. And if you cut right down to the essence of, how do we know what we know? Let's look at it. Let's really just openly look at how do we know what we know? There's, pure experience, right? It's like your own individual experience. Let's put that aside. It's like, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling emotion. Of course it's real. I know it's real because I'm feeling it. But when someone tries to give you an explanation for why it is you're seeing what you're seeing, do you know, or are you believing, right? And when we say, I'm going to go with what the mainstream media is saying about something, why do you believe them, right? It comes down to some sort of faith, some sort of knowing that what that person is saying is true. And what is the source of that? Like, why are we so certain about something? And it's not cognitive. It really isn't, and this is what I'm trying to explore in my book, which is knowing itself originates from something that's non-conceptual, and I call this intuition. I don't know what you want to call it. But when you decide that I'm going to believe what that person is saying, based on what? It's intuitive, honestly. I mean, you could say like, well, that person has never lied to me. Okay, but that doesn't mean he's not lying to you now, right?
Right.
That's sort of where I wanted to go with the book, because I couldn't believe that my colleagues could not see this for what it is. I mean, I was like, how on earth are you not listening to what I'm saying? There's no way. And I really tried hard to talk myself out of where I was going with this. And after 2 weeks of like looking at it, I was like, it's wrong. And then that's where the tower fell, if you will, for me, Ben. It's like, oh my God, we are lost because we are believing the wrong things. And it doesn't matter how many letters you have next to your name, that does not make you more aware of what's going on. In fact, it very well could make you less aware of what's going on because you have fallen into these ruts of systematic thinking about things in one way.
Make sure y'all head over to benjosephstewart.com, become a member. You'll have access to the growing library of deeper dives where I talk about all the stuff that I really can't talk about on YouTube. Make sure you get involved in the Discord chat. That's where a lot of the conversation is happening, talking about new theories, being able to interweave into the greater conversation that is how we awaken infinity. That's our highest potential. And I just want to remind you, you are the most powerful technology ever known to creation. Wield it like an artist with a conscience.